Game Informer recently got the opportunity to visit the Game Freak headquarters and then talk with the creators of Pokemon about a lot of stuff. We're getting really good interviews about the history of Pokemon, as well as what to look forward to in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I've been thinking about this video for a while now, and with Game Informer's recent opportunity, I just decided, hey, I might as well put out my questions for Junichi Masuda. Now, pretty much, I'm just going to go into the question and the reason why I want to ask it. So let's go into this one, and the first question I have is, was the shiny transfer from the Red Blue Yellow Virtual Console intentionally swapped, or was it an error that just hasn't been fixed yet? Because that's actually one of the most interesting things to me. I love that you can catch shiny Pokemon in the Gen 1 Pokemon games. However, the way that it factors in from Gen 2 to Gen 7 is much different. That if you use the time machine to put Pokemon from Gen 1 into Gen 2, it can become shiny depending on the IVs. Now, for some reason, when you transfer a Gen 1 Pokemon to Gen 7 via the Poke Transporter and Pokemon Bank, the IVs that are required are swapped. So in Gen 2, the attack is the key stat, and in Gen 7, the defense is the key stat. I just want to ask Junichi Masuda what happened there, because it's really confusing now that we also have the Gold and Silver Virtual Console coming out pretty shortly. My next question for Junichi Masuda would be if the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games are the sequel to Pokemon X and Y. Now, this is something that I believe because of this interview from Junichi Masuda a while ago, but I kind of want just a little bit more hard information. So as we can see right here, Masuda said the developers are always looking for ways to surprise players. For example, if after Black and White we came out with Gray, people would have been expecting that. Same with X and Y, and Z having Z being straight afterwards. So we're always trying to surprise people. With this surprise, it feels like that Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire is our Z version. And instead of doing a direct sequel to XY, we're tying it together in unique ways. See, my idea is that tying it together is them pretty much saying that this is the Platinum to the Diamond and Pearl, the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to X and Y. So I just want a yes or a no. Was this kind of like the crazy workaround, that instead of Z version, we got Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or is it not quite that, but a similar idea? Another question I would have for Junichi Masuda is if he's aware of Pokemon content creators in the West. Now, of course, he knows that people make Pokemon videos, and we've even seen this at like Pokemon Worlds, that the Pokemon Company has hired YouTubers in the past for casting, and then I've also seen like a lot of Pokemon content creators tweet about that they've met Junichi Masuda or something like that. I just want to see how Junichi Masuda understands it, you know, if he sees how deep it really goes, and he understands the scale of how many people are making Pokemon YouTube videos. Also, I'd like to ask him, like, what videos he's seen from anyone that is outside of Japan when it comes to Pokemon videos, and if he has any favorite YouTubers, or just something that he keeps up with from time to time, or if it's just something that he's aware of. He knows it's kind of big, and he doesn't really know much else about it, except that people just love Pokemon, and then they put it into a video form. And then I'd also want to ask, like, how it's different in Japan. Like, if he regularly watches Pokemon content creators that make videos and post it to, I think Nico is like the Japanese YouTube. And if there's an identifiable difference that he could talk about as well between Western and Eastern Pokemon content creation, I think that'd be a pretty interesting look as to what the game developers do in response to the content we make, and if they listen to some of the larger YouTubers and their audiences directly for something like that. And naturally, if I'm asking about Pokemon YouTubers to Junichi Masuda, I'm gonna ask, one, if he's heard of my channel, and two, if Midnight LYCANROC is loosely based off of my channel as well. We have an Anthro Wolf Pokemon that's nocturnal and also has a deep red coloring as one of its main colors, and then looking at the description for Midnight LYCANROC kind of makes me feel that there might be a little something going on right here. I know it's most likely a coincidence, but a lot of people think that something's going on with this Pokemon, and then when you read the description of Midnight LYCANROC, it hits a little too close to home for me personally. Midnight form LYCANROC provokes its opponents by pressing in hard and inviting their attack. Okay. When an opponent falls for this tactic and attacks, LYCANROC counters with its forte, a single devastating blow that finishes off its foe. The stronger the opponent is, the more excited for battle LYCANROC becomes. It doesn't mind getting hurt if it means victory in battle. Battles thrill it so much that its eyes glow. Contempt rises in this Pokemon for trainers who it doesn't agree with. Junichi Masuda, if you answer one thing from this video, or if you even find this video at all, I just have to know. The Pokemon community needs to know what's going on. My next question for Junichi Masuda would be if there's a reason behind the slow news cycle for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I personally believe that we did not get too much information when it came to Pokemon Sun and Moon. I loved the entirety of the new season. I loved all of the hype. that came with the non-stop news and releases for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and the game still felt fresh to me. The story wasn't spoiled at all. There were still a few Pokemon to discover. Like, if it wasn't for the data mine, then yeah, there still would have been a lot of Pokemon that would have been new to Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Also with the data mine, those are spoilers that you can easily avoid. And when you look at all of the information, a lot of it actually came from unofficial sources. So when you look at what the Pokemon Company was putting out, I feel that it was just right. Now, unfortunately, I feel like my thoughts are the unpopular opinion in this case, and that Game Freak is kind of reacting to the rest of the Pokemon community. I would want to know how the audience in Japan reacted to all of the non-stop news announcements that came from Pokemon Sun and Moon, or if they're also listening to the West as well, that if they see like all of this outrage and, you know, kind of retaliation against saying too much Pokemon news happened with Pokemon Sun and Moon, that this is the response. Or maybe there's just not that much with Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I just kind of want to get an idea as to how they value the news releases. I would really want Junichi Masuda to know that I don't think they did anything wrong with Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, a more lighthearted question I would ask Junichi Masuda is what happened with Psychic types in Gen 1? This is something that has plagued my entire childhood, and I'm not talking about them being super overpowered. I just want to know why they were immune to Ghost. Like, I want a reason behind that. Was it a simple error, or did they have like a different idea that ended up changing? And then when you even look at some of the in-game text, people actually, there's a character that says Psychic Pokemon only fear bugs and ghosts. Well, actually, they don't fear ghosts in the game, and in the anime, that's how Ash actually takes down Sabrina, is with a ghost Pokemon. So I really want to know, like, I just want Junichi Masuda to come out and hardcore confirm what the logic is behind this and why it's just so weird to everyone. And then for my last question, I would also want to see if there's confirmation that Game Freak with the game balance is actually taking advice from Smogon, because what I've noticed recently in the last couple years of Pokemon, last couple generations, is that they've been nerfing all of the things that Smogon has been banning. That Sleep Claws has been a thing for a very long time. So sleep has been nerfed almost every generation since like Gen 2 or 3 or something. So that's kind of a little excessive right there. Also, evasion has been getting non-stop nerfs as well. And then with Prankster, Swagger, as well as Thunderwave getting nerfs in the 7th generation, it seems like the large battle community of Smogon might be in consideration when Game Freak is making balance changes. So I'd be interested in seeing if Game Freak is actually taking note of that and then using it when applying game balance decisions, or if it's just a coincidence that the games are kind of reflecting some of the points that Smogon has made in the past with their ban decisions. So there we go, guys. I feel like those would be the biggest questions I would have for Junichi Masuda. You know, I wouldn't really take it too seriously and be like, what are you going to do about hacking? I wouldn't really grill him on that. In this purely fictional encounter I would have with him, it'd just mostly be like banter, praise, and just kind of getting those really interesting questions I've kind of wanted answers to for a couple months now, because I found it just really strange what happened with the Pokemon Bank. The Virtual Console, it's very intentional to allow shiny Pokemon from Gen 1 to call back to Gen 2, but then to switch something, coding error? I don't really know what that is, and if it was intentional, then why? Does that technically double the odds of getting a shiny Pokemon? Because now that we have Gold-Silver Virtual Console, does that mean the original stats will make the Pokemon shiny when it goes to Gold-Silver Virtual Console, but then that means when you transfer it from Gen 1, it wouldn't be? And also, does that mean that if you have shining Gyarados, you know, you take red Gyarados, put in Gen 1, and then transfer a Pokemon Bank, it loses its shiny? There's so many implications, I just need to know. And then also, I've been thinking about it for like a year now because of what happened with Midnight Lycanroc. That's not just me being full of myself and having an ego like, yep, that's me. You know, the majority of the Pokemon community when it comes to memes, that's the placeholder. You know, it's like, great, Verlisify is a Pokemon. Even though they don't seriously think it, that's just the joke right there. But that is a little uncanny right there. Other than that, I'm trying to think about other things I would ask Junichi Masuda, or just like talking about it. You know, I'd just non-stop praise to one of the co-creators of my favorite games ever, and just like my entire life. My life is Pokemon. My job is Pokemon. My bed has Pokemon blankets and stuff. All my clothes are Pokemon shirts and stuff. I don't have Pokemon underwear. I'm not a freak. But then, yeah, my entire life has been Pokemon, and I'm really excited for that, and it's just great what my life has kind of led into with being able to play Pokemon for a living. I would just kind of go through my story as well, if I had the time. You know, Junichi Masuda, very busy man. I don't really know, and I'd just say like, yeah, Gen 2 is my favorite, or like Gen 2 Johto is my favorite. My favorite generation to play in is Gen 4. Maybe pick his brain about like competitive thoughts and stuff, because that's another reason why that made it on the questions. I've noticed that it seems like Smogon has had some kind of guidance when it comes to the recent balance changes, and I just feel like Pokemon hasn't been that fun competitively since Gen 5 when they tried to take it more seriously competitively. So, you know, just feedback and stuff like that I think would be really fun to talk about with Junichi Masuda. And I think that's it. So what would you guys ask Junichi Masuda? Comment your questions down below if in this, again, purely fictional engagement. Also, if you like the video, you like this idea, please leave a like, share with your friends, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.